Good morning. There goes my clock chiming off. My friend's husband fixed it for me. I haven't heard that chime for years. Probably could have turned the chime off, but it's a nice sound. And it tells me what time it is without looking at the clock. So it's 11. It's morning. I'm Susan Wesley, the ultramarathon grandma, who's the creator of this group. And it's springtime. It's springtime no matter what the weather is. It's still springtime. And my house smells amazingly like lemons. You can do a lot of things with lemons. You can clean with lemons. You can improve your digestion with lemons. And you can bake cookies and pound cake with lemons. I have a couple friends who are turning 75 this weekend, and another friend who's turning 70 on Monday. And we're going to have a little soiree after our training group on Saturday. And so I wanted to make the pound cake for over a week. I think I talked about it last week. And I found the cookies when I was looking for birthday cookies. I didn't want all those sprinkles. And I saw blueberry, lemon. So I had everything I needed, which was great. It took a while. Hi, Debbie. I took a while to get the lemon zest because I had to do like 8 lemons to get enough for both recipes, but well worth it. And I don't have to clean today because the house smells awesome. Anyway, let's get started. If you're here, say hi in the chat. I would love to chat with you. If you watch the replay, let me know. Say #replay and any comments. And hopefully you will be inspired to try these recipes or even adjust your recipes, which I did do a little bit. I didn't have to do too much. I really didn't do anything on the pound cake. And I will post the recipes later today. This one's from the Minimalist Baker, and that's where we got the recipes that I made last week from. I really like her recipes. They're usually vegan, gluten-free. And sometimes they have oil, but she really cuts down on the oil. So this cake has 1/4 of a cup of, she said, avocado oil. I used coconut. 1/2 a cup of applesauce. We could have done all applesauce, but I always like to do the recipe as it says, which I'm going to break that rule on the next recipe. So we're going to make the lemon loaf cake first, and it's all made in one bowl. Although I have all these bowls of ingredients, so I don't know how true that is, that you just make it in one bowl. And I'm a little short on parchment paper. I thought I had all another roll downstairs, but we'll make it work. So you line the cake pan with parchment paper. I usually grease the pan so the parchment paper stays in place. And then when the cake cools, you can just lift it out with the parchment paper. And I'm going to be taking this on Saturday, so I probably will put it in a container and then glaze it in the container. Something that, has a hard side and I can put the lid on top without getting into the glaze. And then I'll cut it when I get there. And I'll probably cut it in, maybe like inch slices, but then I'll cut the slices in half, maybe even in thirds, because it's just going to be a bite. Who knows how many people show up for training. I don't know that they know there's a party afterwards. So let's get going. We've got 3 to 4 tablespoons of lemon zest, which I did that. I got the lemons zested. 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, which because the lemons were already zested, I just used those and squeezed them. 1/2 a cup of unsweetened applesauce. And I like to buy these little kid containers because that's 1/2 a cup. And we don't really eat applesauce, and I was buying jars and throwing it out. 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. I have coconut oil that we'll use. A tablespoon of vanilla extract. 2 cups of almond flour, and then it called for 3/4 of a cup of potato starch, not potato flour. I couldn't find potato starch, so I substituted. And she is great at giving you notes on what to substitute. So I used 3/4 of a cup of oat flour and no, is that right? It's 3/4 of a cup of potato starch. Yes, I used a 1/2 cup of oat flour and 1/4 of a cup of coconut flour. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Hi, Teresa. So that's what I did for the potato starch since I couldn't find any at the store. And then 1/3 of a cup of, I always use arrowroot instead of cornstarch, baking powder, and sea salt. So I have all the flour mixed up already right here. And we're going to get going on the rest of the ingredients. So everything that's wet goes in the bowl. So we've got, oh, and when I do the maple syrup, it asks for 1/2 cup. I don't fill it all the way to the half line, and then I just add some water. And that way it's not quite as sweet. So, and like, if you've watched me cook before, you know I use these little coffee cups that come with your dish set for my prep. That's about the only thing they're good for. All right, I'm gonna put the coconut oil in. All this just gets whisked together. And then we'll add in the dry ingredients. The vanilla. And I'll probably just put the link for this recipe in below the video. And then I'll write it up and put it in my, that was the lemon juice. And the applesauce. And the lemon zest. Oh, I know that's what the cake's gonna taste like because I can already taste it just by smelling the lemon zest. All right, stirring all that up and then just put in the dry, and then this will be ready for the oven, and we'll make the cookies while the cake's baking. We're probably not gonna be on here till the cake's done. I'll have to post a picture and let you know. I'll let you know on Saturday how it turned out. This cake batter is really thick, and she gives recommendations for if it's too thin, or, which I don't know what that means since I've never made it before and I don't know what it's really supposed to be like, or if it's too thick. So we're just gonna do it the way it is. It's a pound cake, so the batter is gonna be heavy. I think I got it all mixed together. I don't like to mix these things too much because then they don't perform well in the pan. All right, now I greased the pan. I think this pan's as old as me. And then you can hear me putting the parchment paper in there, and because I greased it, the parchment paper will stick. It won't fall in. So it looks a little messy when you get it in there, but believe you me, it works. I was doubtful too the first time I used parchment paper to line a pan. Usually when you do a layer cake, you cut it so it's in there, but you want to be able to lift this out. So I'm going to try to get it in there without getting it around the paper. That's why she said to scoop it in. It's a little hard to pour it in when the paper is kind of tilted in a little bit. Just, you know, the parchment paper not only helps you lift the cake out when it's done, it also saves you from having more oil in your food. We don't think it matters that much to have, you know, a greased pan, but every little bit that we don't put into our body helps. Because, you know, in this world, there's plenty of stuff just on a daily basis. We don't need to be adding it of our own free will. All right, I'm just smoothing it out. And that also gets the paper where it belongs. It's a little fiddly, especially if you've never done it before with parchment paper, but in the end, when it's done and you can just lift it out of the pan and not have to worry about tipping it over, it's great. All right. Clean that spatula off and we're done. We're gonna put it in the oven. I have the oven heated up already at 350. So there it is. I didn't let you see what I was doing today, but it's going in the oven and we're gonna come over here and make the cookies. And I'll be better about letting you see what I'm doing. All right, 35 to 40 minutes, and then take it out and put it on a cooling rack and leave it in the pan to cool, which is great. All right, we're gonna use that same bowl because again, it's just all lemon, right? It's all the same flavor. I was so tempted to add a few chocolate chips to the cookies, but I'm not going to. All right, I posted this gorgeous picture. Don't they look good? Hopefully they look that good in real life. So this recipe calls for, I doubled the recipe, so it calls for 2/3 of a cup of coconut oil. We're gonna use, and a half a cup of applesauce. So we're gonna use a cup of applesauce and just a little bit of the coconut oil because I have a feeling it helps hold everything together. And let me make sure I'm doing this right. I always say I'm not gonna cook recipes I've never cooked before. But here I am making a recipe I've never made before. So I have to make sure I have the directions. Okay, we're gonna put all the wet ingredients together first. So that means the melted coconut oil, which was just 2 tablespoons. I don't feel too bad about that. And hopefully the cookies aren't too cakey with all that applesauce in them. They'll be good. How could they not be? All right. And yes, I am breaking my own rule. I'm not making the recipe as she says. I know you can substitute applesauce for oil and it's usually just fine. Now, if I was doing something like scones, I would have to go with the butter or the coconut oil because you're not going to get the same flaky, dry consistency of a scone if you use applesauce. So there's the applesauce. Maple syrup, I did the same thing. It was a half a cup and I cut it short and then added a little water to it because this recipe also has sugar in it, so it's going to be sweet enough. And I use sucanat for my sugar. It's sugar cane natural. That's what sucanat stands for. You can see that it's brown and it's kind of, it's not as refined as white. It's a little lumpy. Not lumpy, but granularly. You can see the grains, but it actually has some nutrition in it because it's not totally processed. All right, I'm debating whether I guess the sugar should go in with the wet ingredients. What do you think? Go for it. Let's start in there. We got lemon juice, 2 tablespoons. We got lemon zest. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. Hey, Karen. I'm gonna have to sneak you one of these cookies before you leave on Saturday since you have to go to your habitat. I'm assuming you like lemon and blueberries. All right, that's all the wet ingredients stirred together. Now, I put the dry ingredients together already, and we're using almond flour, gluten-free flour, that I was gifted by my friend Alice. Baking powder, baking soda, and salt. All that's gonna go in with the wet, and we're gonna stir it up. You guys know how to make cookies. I don't miss having to get the mixer out and then just doing this stuff by hand. It works out great. And then we fold the blueberries in last. And the recipe called for 2 cups of blueberries, and I was a little short. So I always get these dried wild blueberries at Trader Joe's. And they add so much more blueberry flavor because of course, they're dried. So we're going to add a few of those in there too. I had to do the all-purpose gluten-free flour separate, and the dough is definitely getting thicker. Hopefully I have enough room in my bowl. Let me see. And then this, I doubled the recipe because it only made 12 cookies, and that just wouldn't be right. So, at least we'll have 24 cookies, maybe more if I don't make them as big as, I may make them tinier. I'm just going to use my small scoop. It says to use a medium scoop. Maybe this is considered a medium scoop, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to get a different bowl to get the blueberries in there. All right. Live TV, you know, you have to change things up and be willing to not get it perfect the first time because there's no retakes. It's beautiful here outside today. I haven't been out there yet. I have a couple things I want to plant in the yard before it rains tomorrow. Seems to be a good time to plant. I hope you get to go outside today sometime. This tomorrow looks like a kind of rainy day. All right, stir, stir, stir. Yes, it would go together faster if it was in a mixing bowl, but they didn't tell me to put it in a mixing bowl. Just said when the dough starts to form, you can fold in the blueberries, but not to smash them, which might be tricky. I might have to go even to a bigger bowl. Get the blueberries in there. It's coming together really nicely, and it's getting more like, I had my druthers there for a minute. It's getting more like cookie dough. All right. I'm gonna go get the grandma bowl out, or my mom's bowl out, her bread bowl, because why not? I should have thought of this ahead of time. Nice big bowl, plenty of room. I won't have to feel like I'm smashing the blueberries. And yes, now I have more dishes to do, but that's all right. All right, and this recipe also calls for lining your baking sheet with parchment paper, but my wonderful friend Elaine bought me these Silpat, which I think you've seen before if you've watched me, and I just line my cookie sheets with them. Even when I roast my vegetables, anything, I use these, and nothing sticks to them. And then I just wash them off when we're done and put them away. There's the blueberries. Stir them in. It's like stirring chocolate chips in at the end of making chocolate chip cookies. I hope these are really yummy. And then they get, both things get a lemon glaze on them. So the cake gets lemon juice, lemon zest, vanilla, and powdered sugar. And the cookies just get powdered sugar and lemon juice drizzled on them. And we'll see how that works since I'm taking them somewhere. It should be fine. All right, we're all done. We're all stirred together. It smells delicious. And let's see, put the cookies on there. It said to form them in a ball, so I might do that just so the dough's together. The dough is kind of like a sugar cookie dough. We'll make them into I'll use the scoop as the measure. Said 2 tablespoons. That's probably about 2 tablespoons, don't you think? Got a little hefty on that one. And then these just bake in the oven, the same 350. I'm not gonna put them in there with the cake because sometimes when you're baking and there's more than one thing in the oven, it doesn't really get done right. But they're 12 to 14 minutes, depending on your oven. And again, I'll have to let you know. You'll have to wait until Saturday to find out if they were worth all the trouble, which they were pretty easy actually. So if you guys want to follow me, I also put these on YouTube. I'll email them out. And in May, I'm going to do a 5-day challenge. And if you've got things that you would like to work on towards building your healthier life, let me know and I'll add them into the 5 days. But you know the usuals: water, movement, more fruits and vegetables, and getting proper rest. We might have a surprise on the 5th day. All right, thanks for watching today. Sorry this isn't all completely done and you can't see the finished product, but I will post pictures. Thanks for joining me, and have a great rest of your day. Bye. Jennifer, yes, it's cookie dough. Cookie dough, lemon, blueberry cookies for some of my walking friends' 75th birthday on Saturday. So, you're welcome, Sarah. Maybe you can try them. It's a healthier version of a cookie anyway. And you know, when you make them yourself, you know what's in them. All right. See you all again soon. Bye.